Yes. The plan is that all of them. I think the ones back there.
We're going to start about 2 minutes.
I didn't bring readers either.
Well, I can't give you those. Does it help you?
Oh, that's perfect.
I've got a light in my car we can put on there, Greg.
This is okay. I've got enough charge.
Hey, that's awesome. Ask and you shall receive. Hopefully I won't have to look at
Okay. So, just as a reminder, our last person speaking.
Good evening. Over the last week, I have been contemplating what to say once Greg asked me to speak tonight. You see, when Greg first approached us about the idea, we all thought he was crazy. As you know, I'm Brenda Derrick, the city engineer, and we are all engineers. So flood fighting is what we do, and we are wondering, how can doing our job become art? As we worked through the process on this piece, I did not realize the emotional impact it would have for me. For someone that has been at the city for over 30 years and worked through the flood fights, this has become a place to visit and remember. I remember the long days and nights, not seeing my family, the amazing neighbors that treated us like family as we worked with them to build the line of protection, and the camaraderie of all the people to help save the city. This piece brings art to our larger flood protection infrastructure, which adds to its beauty and meaningfulness. It is such an honor to be part of Fargo and who we are. Next, I'm happy to introduce our mayor, Dr. Tim Mahoney.
Beautiful night. Last September, the Fargo Lions Club gifted the Spirit of the Sandbagger monument to the city of Fargo in honor of the club's 100th year in service to the community. At that ribbon-cutting event, it was announced that dynamic lighting would be incorporated into the site in 2022. So tonight, here we are. Promises made, promises kept. Tonight, we unveil the lighting which will bring the statues to life and shine a million colors to illuminate the secret sauce of Fargo, people who band together at times of trial to save our city. This new public art fixture celebrates the resilient Fargo-Moorhead Metro, the volunteerism alive and well in our residents, cooperation amongst communities across the region, refusing to give up, no matter how bad things seem to be. The importance of remembering and celebrating our history of working together. This right here, is a perfect marriage of public infrastructure and public art, much to the chagrin of our engineers. Never thought we could do it. The spirit of the Sandbagger was a collaboration between the City of Fargo and the Fargo Lions Club. This is very important to know that this project, every penny on this project was funded through private dollars. Over $200,000 in funding and in-kind donations have made this possible. Over the last months, this dynamic lighting system was designed, installed, and programmed through the collaborative work of Sun Electric of Fargo, who also built City Hall, Jill Ig Lighting Design Studio of Fargo, and Gopher Stage Lighting of Minneapolis. GSL is a national leader in impactful lighting solutions with a portfolio of successful illuminated landmarks projects such as U.S. Bank Stadium, Fargo City Hall, Target Center, the Science Museum of Minnesota, and the Fargo Dome. By utilizing the existing infrastructure powering City Hall's exterior lighting system, we have streamlined operations and maximized cost efficiencies to light up a system that will feature nearly 100 different lighting shows. Just like City Hall, it will substantially amp up the emerging Fargo riverfront. Also, this isn't just a beautiful structure, it's an educational powerhouse. For example, we just completed engravings on the support pillars of the archway to show the height of the 5 highest floods of record in Fargo to ensure we'll never forget why we fought to get permanent flood protection. We also engraved water lines to showcase the impact of the FM diversion project for both 100-year events and 500-year flood events. These tell our story and will ensure that people never forget the past success stories of our community. Major efforts were made to make sure the project was inclusive for individuals impacted by visual and hearing impairments via way-around placement and Braille incorporation. This piece of art is for everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the following individuals. Mike Benson for his ideas which shaped the spirit of the Sandbagger Arch. He has many things he threw away, but he finally came to this. Artist Karen Baki for bringing the community volunteerism to life. She took live subjects and made many of these people you see above us. Fabricator Brock Davis for constructing the art and the archway. Control specialist Ian Adams for his creativity in the programming of the light show, which you'll see tonight. And where do we get rid of those loud noises? No. Lions Club member and project lead Jane Pettinger for her partnership and working with the city staff members to get this over the finish line. With permanent flood protection in Fargo less than 4 years ago from now, the spirit of the Sandbagger serves as a reminder of the future residents and visitors of successful efforts of the past generations who rose to the challenge of protecting the community from floodwaters time and time again. In Fargo, we are far more. Tonight, it's a full display. I can't wait to light this up and see the shining brightly lights and beacon our community for decades to come. And now I'd like to introduce Joe Dobbs, president of the Fargo Lions Club, for his remarks. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm actually co-president of the Fargo Lions this year, along with Kate Lee. Kate is not here tonight because she thought Tuesday was a little early in the week to come downtown and get lit up. I don't think I communicated this event clear enough to her. What I do want to communicate clearly, though, is our thanks and gratitude to a lot of people. Mr. Mayor hit on a lot of those, but Mike Benson, a member of the Fargo Lions for a long time, a member of this community for a long time, this was his idea. Mike, raise your hand and let's give him a hand. Mike lost his home to the flood, helped a lot of others, as did a lot of us. As Lions, our motto is "We serve." Mike is the epitome of our motto. And when it comes to flood fighting, this community serves each other. And I think for that we can be very proud. I also want to recognize Jane Pettinger. She was the committee chairperson. Her and Mike got this thing going. It caught on in our club. It caught on in all of the other Lions clubs in the area, the Horace Lions, the Gateway Lions. It was a Lions effort, and then it became a community effort. My last job, and this is actually my last job as the president. I think my term expires at midnight. So next year it'll be all Kate Lee. I do want to recognize a few individuals and a few companies who helped us raise that over $200,000. There's too many to mention at all the levels, but if we look at the flood wall level, and you're able to look this up on our website, and I think it's listed on some of the items around here too. The Mike and Peggy Bullinger family, Higher Engineering, Industrial Builders, the Alex Stern Family Foundation, North Dakota Lions Foundation, the North Dakota Vibrancy Grant, Sanford Health Grant, and some of the in-kind gifts, AdShock Marketing, DNS Beverage, Dakota Monument Company, FM Area Foundation, Foss Architecture and Interiors, Inc., Higher Engineering, Industrial Builders, Way Around. So once again, as a Lion, I want to thank all of you for helping us with this. And now at this time, I would like to introduce Karen Bakke, our visual artist.
Thank you. It was really an honor to be asked to do this. I've never done a sculpture before, but working with Mike and Brock it was awesome. Do you see yourself up there? You probably should, because I'm pretty sure just about everyone here had a part in fighting the floods, either physically, financially, or spiritually. There was a lot of people out there praying. When I asked people to help me out with this project, they all came in and they'd line up, and I had small groups of 3 to 5 people, and we would have them fill bags and throw them and pass them and stack them on the end. And as I was shooting images and stuff to use to design the figures with, but they'd tell their stories and they'd laugh and they'd tell their disappointments and their victories and all of those things. And it was really fun to hear all of that and the camaraderie that they had. And one gentleman wore the exact same outfit he wore in both of the floods, because I said, wear flood clothes. But anyway, my vision was to have the sandbag throughout the whole sculpture. And I think with the lighting coming, it's going to be really awesome to see that movement of the bag going through there. I want to thank the Lions for letting me have this opportunity to work on this project. Mike, Brock, the best. And my hope is that this is really a constant reminder of how blessed we are in this community with all these family, friends, and neighbors that we have. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie Anderson from the Fargo Public School System, and I'm here just honored to be able to tell you about the wonderful things the Lions do each and every day to be inclusive. They work with my students to get vision evals if they need those, to purchase eyeglasses. Many of you have probably seen where they do school-wide screenings. They also provide money above and beyond what the Fargo Public School System does to provide large print books for my students and technology that they're able to access all sorts of things, like if some of you have heard about the Way Around tag, some of those type of technologies, it's just outstanding. Now I want you to imagine for a moment that you're going to a new restaurant that one of your friends has invited you to. And you don't really know where it is, so you have to look for the signs. And when you get there, maybe behind you is the menu, or perhaps they hand you one. And if you're old like me, maybe you need those readers to read them a little bit. But my students and other people with blind and visual impairments have trouble accessing the way there. They're very independent in their travel, but they need things like the way around tag or other ways to be told what sign is where. When they get into the restaurant, they're not able to access it like you are, and if they're lucky, they might be able to have a Braille menu somewhere. But that's something that should be everywhere. And I so appreciate the way that the Alliance have included everyone in this wonderful monument, from the accessibility for wheelchairs to the way around tag for those who do not access print in other ways, and the Braille that they have had incorporated into everything. I also, with Karen's beautiful artwork, my students are able to access it because on the monument, they also have one that they're able to touch, and the visually impaired people are told what it's about. So I so appreciate the Lions Club and that they're always inclusive. And I can tell you that, just like Karen said, how our whole community came together. I have students that, like you and I, went out and fought the flood. And they will be so excited to be able to come here and access it on their own independently and be able to enjoy this monument. I just thank the Fargo Lions Club for all they do and for always being inclusive. I'd like to introduce Dave Johnson, the Lighting and Controls Manager for Gopher Stage Lighting. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dave Johnson from Gopher Stage Lighting, but more importantly, I'm a kid from North Dakota, and I grew up in Williston. I went to school in Grand Forks, and I lived in Fargo for 10 years. And this is so much fun for me to be able to be part of such a beautiful monument and something that celebrates this city and the people of this city, because I carry that spirit with me. I've lived in Minnesota now for 30 years or so, but I really carry that spirit, and I try very hard to embody that spirit of North Dakota to all of my customers and all of the people that I work with, because that spirit is so important. And we kind of came around to these city projects because of Jill Eggle, and I'd known Jill for many, many years. She called me and said, hey, we need to get some controls on these lights we're doing at City Hall. And I said, you know, the biggest problem that people have is the user interface, the human side of things. The technology is the technology, but if the users can't make good use of it, it is not any good. And so we worked together and we came up with this plan. And now the idea of bridging that plan over to here, and everything that we've done as part of this project is an extension of this other project. And these are extensions of all the other projects we've done in Fargo. We've done the Fargo Dome. I worked on the Plains Art Museum when that was built. We've done almost every school in Fargo, working with those people, and all those things build, just like the sculpture. Everything builds on the thing that you did before, and I just am very honored to be here and be part of this celebration. Thank you so much. And next is Jane Pettinger from the Lions Club.
About 2.5 years is how long we've been working on this. I suppose it really sort of dates back to 1997. Mike and Jan Benson lived south of town in a community along the river, and after that flood, Mike and Jan were walking not too far from their home in an area where there used to be homes, and now there was just riverbank. And it was actually pretty lovely. And they said, hey, let's make a park here. Mike says, oh, I know who to ask that of. And he contacted Lions, which he's a member of, and said, hey, let's make a park where there used to be homes and it flooded out and there's no longer homes there. And we stepped up and did that. And it really wasn't we had to coordinate with the park district, and we coordinated with other entities to make it happen. But this project, when Mike comes up with an idea now, I'm kind of hesitant. I'm like, really, Mike, do we need to do that? This project, wow, what an amazing project. What I plan to mostly focus on here is sort of the dream team that produced what we have above us. As mentioned, these pillars were already here. They had been put in, designed by Houston Engineering, put in by industrial builders some years ago. And I look at pictures of these pillars now without the artwork, and they look just naked. It's just not right at all. This absolutely completes this. They looked good before, but now, wow. So you have already heard from Karen, who designed the figures up there. I mean, she didn't really design them. They're human forms, right? They're people who sandbagged and served meals and prayed, as Karen mentioned, and just helped us all fight the flood. They're you and me and every one of us who was involved. There were specific models who modeled. Every one of them fought floods, some of them as teenagers, but they're all of us, right? Brock Davis is the metal worker who brought Karen's vision into physical reality. He designed, cut the figures that you see. He made the bridging framework and brought his expertise to that. I mean, they had to figure out exactly the distance, exactly. When industrial builders installed it and slid it into place, I think we were all holding our breath. It was amazing. Brock's work is absolutely stunning. And then also Brock's connections. He managed to line up the painting of it, and the paint colors were very, very carefully selected so that the lights, which you will see shortly, light the entire figure. And they were built at a distance and mounted up so that the lights fit in there. We worked with Jill Egel Lighting right from the beginning to make sure that everything would work together. One other Lions member that I want to mention is Bob Ames. Bob works for Foss Architecture and Interiors, and you heard that name mentioned earlier, but wow, he brought the technical know-how, the common sense know-how, and to make sure that all of this would work and that it would really look good. One of the things we talked about in terms of the pillars and marking the flood water levels was putting like a metal plate that Brock could have made on the side of the pillars at the different flood heights. And it was Bob who said, those would make good steps for someone to climb the pillars. And I'm like, oh, good point, Bob. So we changed that plan, and what we have is absolutely wonderful. I also want to mention Darren Neff of Hager Engineering. Darren worked as an absolute volunteer, independent. He's not a member of the Fargo Lions Club. He wasn't a paid person at all. He simply certified that everything we were planning as we went along would structurally hold up. The city, of course, insisted upon that, rightly so. And so we had an independent structural engineer to guide us as we went as well. And then lastly, I want to mention in terms of the dream team, industrial builders. When I called industrial builders and said, we have this project, we want to put it together, we want you to put it on, just simply drop the bridge thing into place and do the installation. And they didn't even hesitate a moment and said, absolutely, we're in, we want to be part of this. Flood fighting in Fargo Moorhead is incredibly important, and we believe this is an important project. So that was the dream team that made all this above us happen. But there was a ton more coordination that I need to mention. Number one is Greg Schilberger, who set up this event this evening and who has been our contact at City Hall, along with Mayor Mahoney from the get-go. Mayor Mahoney's enthusiasm and motivation for this project was incredibly valuable. But Greg is the detail guy who made everything happen that needed to happen to put us here at this time tonight. I can't thank Greg enough. You heard from Julie Anderson. I have her on my list to give special recognition. Lions, as you know, are very committed to serving people who have any kind of visual issues to deal with. And so doing the plaques, one is here and one is behind me nearer to the river, in Braille as well as in print, was tremendously important to us. But I don't know anything about how to do that. But Julie has been our contact in the Fargo Public Schools for a long time. And so I contacted Julie at the suggestion of Sue Anderson. Thank you, Sue, by the way. And she said, oh, yes, I will do that for you. And it probably turned out to be a lot more, thank you very much, Julie, than what she initially agreed to. But it's been a fantastic partnership. I should check the time real quick and see how we're doing here, because we're going to have to shut me down in a moment. Thank you. The way around tags have been mentioned briefly. Anyone who's interested in seeing those demonstrated after this event later this evening, I can certainly show you those. What happens is if you take your smartphone and you hold it against the tag on the sign and you have the right program on your, app on your phone, it'll read it out loud to you if you don't have sight. or you can look at it if you're limited vision and take it on your phone and enlarge the photo of the figures. It's just an amazing bit of technology. We're still working on some finalized details. The outdoor element, we want to make sure it's going to stand up to North Dakota winters, which is a big challenge, but that's been an important thing. And we've been working with Dustin Anderson at Dakota Monument to make all that come together just so. Because it's really, really important to us that this artwork is accessible to all, as Julie mentioned. Our special note tonight is, of course, Jill Eggle Lighting. That's been mentioned a time or two. Jill's vision for this lighting element of this has been important all along, and her knowledge and creativity are invaluable. Sun Electric made all the wiring and everything happen. It's absolutely astonishing when you see the details of that. And then Gopher State Lighting, as you heard, is second to none in terms of getting work like this accomplished. And you'll really be able to appreciate that shortly. So, one other thing, since I have probably 3 minutes now, I also want to mention, I mentioned Mayor Mahoney, and what kicked this off to get the city to formally agree at the city commission level was Mayor Bruce Furness. Former Mayor Bruce Furness. Bruce is also a Fargo Lion. Bruce is here tonight. Thank you, Bruce, for getting this going for us. Let's give Bruce a hand. If I have this correct, Bruce was mayor in the 1997 flood, correct? Yes, and of course, Mayor Mahoney has been through a few floods himself. And who else am I missing when I talk about mayors and flooding? Mayor Wallaker. It was important to Mayor Mahoney and to myself and a few other members of the Lions Club that somehow we make sure to remember Mayor Mahoney. So a number of us donated money in his name, and he's also recognized. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor Wallaker, sorry about that.
I'm still alive.
Yeah. Some days, are better than others. Yeah. Anyway, so Mayor Wallaker is remembered on the donor plaque as well by name. Denny was an incredible asset to our community, and I think his influence remains with us today as well. So we're going to take a few minutes now to clear away these items, and I have to stop talking so that I don't get pulled away. And we're going to start, we're going to turn the lights out and make it as dark as we can, and then light this baby up. So hang tight.
Oh, thank you. Very much. This is beautiful.
You want this one out?
So you didn't need to read your
Thank
notes.
you so much. This is
Hi, I'll go grab that. Or you can grab it.
I have experience in this.
I know you do.
Good evening. Joining us for the ceremonial lighting of the archway is Ethan Tseth. Ethan will be a freshman at Fargo South High School this fall and reads Braille. Ethan represents the most important part of this community, our youth. Remembering and honoring the past to guide our future will help Fargo continue to be the regional leader for generations to come. Now, Ethan and I are going to wait a few minutes, and then we're going to count down from 10. So when Greg gives us the signal, we'll start counting down from 10 and ask you to join us. And then the lights will go on. And that's for the TV, so pretend like you're having a lot of fun, okay? Ethan, didn't you tell me the Lions are kind of a rowdy bunch?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do they know how to roar?
Yeah.
Ethan, do the Lions know how to roar?
Yeah.
There we go. All I know, don't get in a den of lions if they're in Horace. They look at you a little funny. This first production will go on for about 5 minutes, so it's going to be kind of an interesting thing, a variety of different things you get to guess. And if you look at the figures closely, you might see somebody that looks like Wallaker, so think about it when you're looking up there. He's got his finger up. There you go, 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.